previous session we discussed regarding the organization of the executive. In that we have discussed regarding the significance of the executive as well as the organization of the executive in India. The Indian constitution has adopted the organization of the executive by incorporation of two concepts. One is the nominal executive and the real executive. So the nominally the president is the head of the state, then really the prime minister is the head of the government. Then we are discussing this session regarding the powers and functions of the president, that is the nominal executive. To acquire the post of the president, the constitution of India has laid down certain qualification. Whoever fulfills those qualification, they are eligible to contest for the post of the president. So the first qualification, Article 58 subclause 1 of the constitution sets the principal qualification. A person must be a citizen of India, then he must completed the age of 35 years, then a person must be qualified to become a member of the Lok Sabha. Whoever fulfills these three conditions, they are eligible to contest for the post of the president. First one is he must be a citizen, then he must be completed the age of 35 years, then he must not be a member of either house of the parliament, but he must possess the qualification to become a member of the Lok Sabha. But he must not be a member. He must possess the qualification to become a member of Lok Sabha. A person shall not be eligible for election as a president if he holds any office of profit under union, state or local authority subject to the control of the state government. So apart from the fourth conditions, if he is serving in any government organization, whether in a state, whether in a central, or whether in a taluka, whether in a district, as a government officer, is not eligible. So if he want to contest for the post of the president, he must resign from that post. Then only he is eligible to contest for the election. These are the four conditions laid down. Whoever fulfills those conditions, they are eligible to become a president. Then the next one, what is the procedure is laid down regarding the election? So here the president is chosen by the electoral college consisting of the elected members of both houses of the parliament and elected members of the state legislative assembly and the union territories of Delhi and Pondicherry. So here the president is elected by electoral college. So that is the electoral college is a college. That college consisting of members of Lok Sabha, members of Rajya Sabha, members of state assembly and the members of union territories of Delhi and Pondicherry. All these members constitute electoral college. So the electoral college consisting all these members. So they only take part in the election of the president and the vice president. Then first of all, the nomination of a candidate for election to the office of the president must be proposed by at least 50 electors and seconded by same number of the members. So first of all, the nomination must be proposed by 50 electors. So they must be mentioned they must file this person should be a president. So they must file before the college. So regarding that appointment of the electing the president. Then afterwards, Article 52 envisages that there shall be a uniformity in the scale of representation among the states in the election of the president. The election is held in accordance with the system of proportional representation by means of single transferable vote. The vote take place by secret ballot system. So here, just now I said that the electoral college conducts the election to the post of the president. Then the president is elected by electoral college. Then the electoral college consisting of members of state assembly, members of Rajya Sabha, members of Lok Sabha, then members from the union territories and members from the Pondicherry. So all the members from these all houses have the single vote. So all the members are having the right to cast the vote in respect of nomination of electing the president. So all the members are having the right to vote. That vote can't be transferable to any person. So they can't transfer their vote to any other person to cast the vote for the post of the president and all. So the president is elected by way of proportional representation system, by way of secret ballot. So there it is having its own organization. Election procedure has laid down in the constitution regarding the post of the president. So in your book also they have mentioned how that can be calculated, how the members from the state can cast the vote in respect of election of the president and all. So they have given all detail regarding the proportional representation by means of single transferable vote. Each member is having the right to cast the vote. That vote can't be transferable to any person. Then coming to the term and the removal. So Article 56 of the Indian Constitution states that President of India shall hold office for a term of 5 years. So he can remain in term 5 years. President can be removed by violation of constitution. Article 61 of the constitution lays down that procedure for the impeachment of the president. So here the term is fixed for 5 years. Then he can be removed on the ground that suppose if he acts against the constitutional provision. So he is elected as per the constitutional provision by the electoral college. So he should be loyal to the constitution. Then suppose if he acts beyond the constitutional provision, that means whatever the rules and regulations are not laid down in the constitution, even though he has acted, even though he has taken the power in his own hand, he has run the administration, it is against the constitution. The constitution has not given that power to run according to his own whims and fancies. He has to run the administration according to the rules and regulations laid down in the constitution. Suppose if he has not acted according to the rules and regulations laid down in the constitution, if it comes to the knowledge of the members of the parliament, then the members of the parliament will straightway pass a resolution by stating the president is impeached. So the impeachment proceeding is nothing but the removal of the president is known as impeachment procedure. So here the president is removed by way of impeachment of impeachment procedure. So here this process may start in either house of the two parliament. So here that can be placed either house of the parliament, because the impeachment proceedings will be take place on the floor of the Rajya Sabha or Lok Sabha. Either house can initiate the proceeding in respect of removal of the president. Then initiate the process by framing the charges against the president. So the members must be frame the charge sheet. Then they must be filed in either house of the parliament. The charges are contained in a notice that has to be signed by at least 1/4 of the total members of the house. Before initiating the procedure in respect of the removal of the president, the notice must be served upon the president. Before that only, notice must be served upon the president. That must be accepted by 1/4 of the total members of the house. The notice is sent to the president and it is taken up for consideration after 14 days. 14 days notice must be sent. Afterwards only that can be taken on the floor regarding the discussion of the removal procedure. So regarding the removal of the president, a resolution to impeach the president has to be passed by special majority. So it requires a special majority, means that much members must be present in the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. They must cast the vote for the removal of the president. Then only the president will be removed. So here, first of all, a resolution to impeach the president has to be passed by special majority. That has to be 2/3 majority of the total members present and voting and simple majority of the total members of the originating house. So 2/3 members must be present from both houses, 520 and 250. Out of that, 2/3 members must present, 545 or 552 and 250. Out of that, 230. Out of that, uh, 2/3 members must present. They must cast the vote for the passing of the resolution. After that, it will be the impeachment bill is sent to the other house. Then the house will investigate the matter. Then again, during this process, the president has the right to defend himself. He is also having the right to place his plea on the floor of the house. If the second house also approves the charges, the president stands impeached. Suppose if the other house accept the bill, then he will be impeached. So then the president stands impeached. Other than impeachment, no other penalty can be imposed on the president for the violation of the constitution, so far as the above provisions have never been used. That means till today in Indian constitution, president, no one impeached by way of this process. So that way here, then apart from that, the being a head of the being the head of the state, or being the union executive head of the state, he is also having certain privileges, immunities, facilities. So article 361 as subclause 1 and 2 provides for certain immunities for the president of India. So he is having the special privileges. First one, the president is not answerable to any court for the exercise of the power and performance of the duties of his office. So here, while exercising the powers and functions to run the administration, so no person is having the right to ask the president why he has done like that. So no authority, no institution, no person is having the right to ask the question to the president regarding his in functions, and answerable to court for the exercise of filing a case against the president. No person is having the right to file a case against the president asking his functions. Functions are not correct. He has acted beyond the constitution. No person is having the right. He is also having that privilege. Then no criminal proceedings whatsoever shall be instituted. So no criminal offense can be charged upon the president. So no criminal proceedings whatsoever shall be instituted against the president. That means he is immune from filing a criminal case before the court of law. Then the third one, no process of arrest or imprisonment shall be issued from any court during his term of office. Even the court is not having the right to issue the arrest warrant against the president, or imprisonment, send the president to the jail during his tenure. Even the court is having no right to ask the question or challenge his action and sending the president to the jail. No court is having no right to take any action against the president during his tenure. Then no civil proceedings in which relief is claimed against the president shall be instituted during his term of the office. Even he is immune from filing civil or criminal cases. No person, no authority, no institution is having the power to file a criminal case or civil case against the president. So these all are the immunities, privileges. He is having the right to avail all those privileges as a head of the union executive. Then apart from that, in the event of his vacancy, so during his tenure, due to the death, resignation, impeachment, or any of that, the post will be fall vacant. So any of the abnormal circumstances, due to the death, due to any of the resignation, so the post will fall vacant. Under such circumstances, Article 65 of the Indian Constitution says that Vice President of India will have the right to discharge a function. That means immediately he will succeed the post of the president till the next president elected by the electoral college. So here, during his tenure, he is having the right to exercise full powers, whatever the powers are laid down by the constitution. But within the tenure, if something happens due to death, due to resignation, or due to any of impeachment proceedings, under such circumstances, if the post fall vacant, then that will be succeeded by the next executor, that is the vice president. He will act as a president till the next president get elected by the electoral college. Then when the president is unable to carry on the duties because of illness or any other cause, then the vice president discharge all the powers and functions of the president. That means he will act as a president only in his absence. Then the vice president who acts, discharges the functions of the president, has all the powers and the immunities of the president, and to entitle to the same privileges. So once the post of the president fall vacant, if it succeeded by the vice president will exercise all the powers, privileges, immunities availed, granted in the hands of the president, because he is the next successor. He is having the privilege to avail all those privileges as well as the facilities. Then in the absence of both, suppose the president or the prime minister, president or the vice president, both are absent, then that will be succeeded by the Chief Justice of India or senior most judge of the Supreme Court may discharge the functions of the president until the newly elected president assumes the office. So, if both are not in tenure, or both are on any ground the post fall vacant, under such circumstances that post will be succeeded by Chief Justice of India. Then after discussing all these concepts, now we'll discuss regarding the powers and functions of president. So here the powers and functions, president is the union executive, head of the union executive. Then being a head of the union executive, he is exercising legislative functions, executive functions, financial functions, judicial functions, diplomatic functions, military functions, emergency functions. So the apart from being the head of the union executive, he is exercising lot of functions to run the efficient administration. So first one, regarding the powers and functions of president. So the legislative power is constitutionally vested in the Parliament of India, and the president is the apex. So already we have discussed regarding the organization of the parliament. So how the parliament is functioning, what are the characteristic feature of the parliament? The parliament is functioning with the help of three characteristic features. First one is the president, then the second one is the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. So in this regard, the legislative power, so the constitution itself has given that power in the hands of the president. So the Parliament of India and the president is at the apex. The president is the head of the parliament. So here the legislative powers of the president can be enumerated. What are the legislative power the parliament has vested in the hands of the executive, or the constitution has given that power to take part in case of legislative organization? So the president comes under the executive branch. He is the executive head of the nation, but apart from that, he also take parts in the legislation process. He also take part in the parliamentary proceedings. So first of all, the first powers and function in respect of the legislative power, the president summons both the houses of the parliament and prorogues them. He can also dissolve the Lok Sabha. So here, being the head of the union government, the president is having the power to issue the summons. That means here, regarding the passing of the bill, already we come to know the lawmaking process. So first the bill will be originate on the first house, then after passing the first reading, second reading, third reading, it will goes to the second house. If the second house not accepted the bill passed by the Lok Sabha, take for example, the Lok Sabha has placed the bill, so the bill has been moved by all the stages. Then it will send to the Rajya Sabha. So Rajya Sabha has not accepted the bill. It has kept the bill like that only. Then here the deadlock arose between the two houses of the parliament. So the bill has withheld by the other house. Then who is having the power to resolve the deadlock? With the intervention of the president. So the president will issue the summons to both the house of the parliament, and by way of calling the joint sitting, he resolved the deadlock between the two houses of the parliament, and he will give the easy way for passing of the legislation. That is the first function of the president in respect of legislature. So he is having the power in respect of that removal of the deadlock by calling the joint sitting or by calling the joint summons of the two houses of the parliament. He is also having the power to prorogation, means ending the session. So the parliament is having three sessions, that is the budget session, monsoon and the winter. Before the completion of the term of the session, he can end the session. The ending the session is known as prorogation. Ending the term is known as dissolution. So the president is having the power of not only issuing the summons, not only calling the joint sitting by removal of the deadlock arose between the two houses of the parliament. In the same way, he is having the power to dissolve the house as well as to prorogue the session. So these all are the powers for exercised by the president to run the efficient administration. So remaining we'll discuss in the next session.